Hi, Coach. Thanks for
Hi.
joining us. Let's start off with questions from Jared and then Mitch.
Hey, Coach.
Hi, Jared.
So I wanted to start off with a philosophy question. I was kind of curious, as you go through a season, you start figuring, teams start scheming to try and stop what you want to do. I thought Boise State did a pretty good job on the off-tackle run that you'd had a lot of success with. They did a good job slowing that. As an offensive coordinator, what do you do to counter scheme, I guess? What do you do as teams try and take away things that you want to do?
Well, I don't really agree with your point. I didn't think they stopped that. I thought we turned the ball over and we played poorly in the red zone, but we had a lot of success running wide zone like we usually do. It was our best play Saturday, and it's pretty much always our best play in the run game anyway. And but to the bigger part of your question, I think it's part of football is you got to have wrinkles and answers each week for things that people do. And last game wasn't really about that. It wasn't about not having the answers or anything. It was about poor execution and turnovers. And credit to them. They're playing defense, I guess. They played hard to, get the ball out and stuff like that. But we've got plenty of answers, and our offense has things that fit together, plays that set up other plays. There's still lots of stuff that hasn't even been seen yet that's dialed up and ready to go when the time is right. And we won't have a shortage of answers.
Well, and I was probably thinking of a few specific plays as opposed to the game in general, and that's on me. That's me not paying.
It's not. One point is we got stopped on 4th and 2 on one of our wide run plays.
Right. Yeah.
That play, we'd been 100% all year on 4th down on that exact play. I mean, that's been our go-to call, and we just didn't get it done on that play. We didn't block it well enough. The defense was exactly what we practiced and thought we were going to get, and we just didn't get it done. And so it was a disappointing execution. And then that play had a couple of answers built into it too as well. It had an RPO built in as well as the ability to check the play if it wasn't the right look, and we just didn't make the play we've been making all year. It was, still eating at all of us.
I also wanted to just talk. I mean, you talked about it on the coordinator's corner, but having Grimes, the situation, meeting with Jeff again, and facing him on the other side. How much fun is that for you? I mean, this happens in college football all the time, but not necessarily always a year removed like this or less than a year. So, how much fun is it to have this wrinkle and kind of unique aspect to this week's game?
It's not really fun. I mean, it's fun when I get to talk to him, after they win and after we win and we have a minute, hey, good job. And, we're texting, or once in a while we'll call each other. That's fun. Playing against each other is not fun at all. I don't really ever enjoy playing against my friends. We love Grimey. And, this week he's on the other team, so we got to go do our best to try to win. So it's really not a lot of fun. I mean, I'm going to say hi to him before the game, and I'll give him a hug after, but I don't enjoy this at all. I don't enjoy going against my friends. This is too serious of a business for us. I mean, this is life and death to coaches, So the fun part is when we don't have to play each other and we get to call up and talk about the good times or whatever.
Coach, Kalani said last night in his coach's show that Baylor Romney was back in practice.
Yeah.
How has he looked so far this week, and will he be available against Baylor?
He's back at practice. He hasn't taken as many reps as Conover, so right now I'm not sure yet if Conover will be if Baylor, where Baylor will be in the pecking order. That we still have another day of practice. We get a lot of reps on our Thursday practice. It's pretty much the whole practice is pretty much just team reps. So we'll make that determination after tomorrow. But all the quarterbacks are looking really good. Jaren's completely healthy now, ready to roll. And Conover's been getting a lot of good reps, and it's nice to have Baylor back out there.
And I wanted to ask you too about Puka Nacua. Feels like every single week he just continues to make improvement. What's maybe the potential that he has in this BYU program because he's still a young guy.
Yeah.
What's the potential for Puka?
Yeah, he has a really high ceiling. First of all, he just has really high talent level. High ability. He's got size. He's got speed. He breaks tackles. He's a big, strong kid. He's got good hands. He's a good route runner. He's just a good football player all around. And but what really I think is great about him is just the motor that he plays with. He's never tired. He plays hard every snap. He practices hard every day. We have to like calm him down at practice, and those type of players are rare. When you have to tell a guy like, hey, chill out a little bit, it's practice, that's a good thing, because most players you have to kind of get them going at practice, and he's just the opposite of that, and that's why he's good. You combine that type of work ethic with with a lot of ability, that's a good combination.
Alex and then Jay.
Coach Roderick, you guys are up there in the country in first half scoring and quite at the bottom of the list when it comes to second half scoring. Throughout the season, to what do you think you can attribute that disparity?
Just that we've been in, 5 of our 6 games where the entire fourth quarter was basically grind the clock and eat as much clock as we can, run the ball. Most of those 4 of those 5 games, we were bleeding the entire clock, snapping it, with 2 seconds left on purpose and trying to play team football. And we don't care about how we get a win. This program's about winning as a team. There's going to be some games where we need to play fast. There's some games where we need to play slow. And when you get to that second half in the fourth quarter, we're big in analytics here, and we follow those religiously. And if the best strategy to win the game is to slow the game down and run clock, and we can do that. And if the best strategy is to play fast and be aggressive, then we can do that as well. That's one thing I like about our offense is I think we have the ability to win any type of game we need to win. We have good skill players, and we can throw the football, and we can also we've got good physical players. We can run it. And so it just so happened that 4 of our 5 games, first 5 games, were like that in the fourth quarter, especially, but in the second half in general. And each one had its own story, right? But the Arizona State game and the Utah game, both we had 6-7 minute drives in there where we were keeping the ball away from the other team, eating a lot of clock, wearing them down, and either getting points or ending the game on the field, trying to end the game on the field in victory formation. So that's what I would attribute that to. And, we'll see how the next one goes.
And Coach, you mentioned earlier kind of playing against your friends. Obviously, some coaches at Baylor were at BYU just last year. What do you think it's going to be like? Kind of, do you think you'll see a similar offense to what you guys used to have in terms of in Baylor now? Like, will you see from Baylor something kind of similar to what you guys run because there are some guys who left BYU and went there? And what do you think that's going to be like?
Yeah, I've watched them play on TV, and then just what I'm hearing from our defensive coaches this week, their offense is very similar to ours. There are a few differences. I think there's a few pass concepts that they're doing that are a little different than what we do, but overall, most of it is very, very similar. I think right down to a lot of the terminology is the same, which that's not uncommon in football. There's enough coaching tree situations in the game where, former coaches that work together end up coaching against each other, and you might have 2 offenses or 2 defenses that use a lot of the same terminology. And but yeah, I think they're fairly similar, and it'll be interesting.
Jay, go ahead.
Hey, Aaron, just on this notion of changing things, are you talking about changing plays themselves, or is it mostly terminology, the signs that you use? What do you mean when you say you're changing things?
When did I say? You mean like what I said on Gregory
that coordinator's corner?
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, just So yeah, when you watch games on TV now, most offenses now are signaling plays into the game in some form or another, and so obviously those guys know exactly how we do it here. We know how they do it, so I'm sure they're having to adapt a little bit to what they're doing this week, and we have to adapt a little bit. It's just part of the covert, part of the game. But we had been planning for this ever since they left. So it's, on the one hand, we're doing something a little different this week than we've done in other games. But on the other hand, we've been planning for it so long, it's not a big deal. Our players have handled it really well this week in practice. But yes, I was referring to the operation of how we get the play call into the game to our players.
Thanks.
Yep.
Jake and then Mitch.
Hey, Rod, pardon the background noise, but I wanted to ask you, the last 2 weeks you haven't had Mason Wick at your disposal. How important is he in your offense?
I'm glad you mentioned that. That was a huge loss not having him. He has been one of our best players all year. He's a very unique player. I think defenses have to prepare for some of the things he does are just different than what you see week in and week out. He's in a way, he's kind of a throwback guy, but at the same time, he's very skilled and does some really skilled things as well that just he changes our offense when we have him, and we're going to have him this week. So it's going to be nice to have him back.
I also wanted to ask you about how a guy like Campbell Barrington has done. I think you guys have been high on him since he showed up to BYU, but how's he done at right tackle so far?
He's going to be a great player, and he's already playing really well, surprisingly well for how new he is. And we haven't really skipped a beat since he started playing. And what I love about him most is his athleticism and his versatility. We can play him at guard or center on either side of the ball. Left or right, guard or center, guard or tackle. Sorry. You can play guard or tackle, left or right. And he just creates a lot of versatility. So if we have an injury, anywhere, he can slide over, and we can always just put the next best player in the game. We don't have to necessarily put the next best left guard or the next best right tackle or whatever. He gives us the ability to sort of shuffle the deck and make sure that our best 5 available players are on the field. And those guys are really important. And he's got a really, really bright future.
Coach, what are traits of Dave Aranda defenses? I know you were at Utah and you faced Utah State in 2012. I think you were an analyst with BYU in 2017 when BYU faced LSU that year. What are traits of an Aranda defense?
Well, first of all, they have a D coordinator. He has a pretty good impact on what they're doing as well. I don't think it's just Dave Aranda, but obviously Coach Aranda has been a great defensive coach his whole career. And I've been aware of him for a long time. I know a lot of guys that have worked with him at various places. And I would say just the thing that stands out is just how squared away they are. They don't make mistakes. They play really, really hard. There's no gimme throws. Just, when you watch the film, it's just like everything, you earn every inch you get in the run game and in the passing game. And they're just very disciplined, very good at what they do, and they play really, really hard. It's a physical team that flies around, and 11 guys every snap playing as hard as they can, and we're in for a big challenge. This is going to be a tough defense.
And finally, for me, ball security. I'm sure it's emphasized to the guys as much as possible in any practice, but has it taken on a greater focus this week after what took place against Boise?
It's impossible to focus on it more than we already always do, and that's why we focus on it so much. That's why we didn't fumble for 5 games, and then we just had a bad game with some fumbles in it. We were bound to fumble eventually, I suppose, but I don't know how you could focus on it more than we already did before that happened, and we will continue to focus on it as always. It's the number one priority we talk about every day. It's a huge part of every single practice. Every practice involves ball security. Drills, it involves, I mean, I could go on and on about how much we talk about it, and how much we practice it. So, but rather than, you know, it still stings that that happened on Saturday. I mean, we went 5 games without one. Not many teams have done that. And so we're just going to get back to work, and we trust those guys. And I told this, I think I can't remember if I said this to the media or not, but I told it to our team on Monday that Peeny had carried the ball 445 times and had fumbled twice in 445 touches in 3.5 seasons. And then he just happened to have 2 on Saturday. And so, and Tyler had carried the ball 450 something times and fumbled 3 times. And then he had 1 Saturday. So these are reliable guys that had a bad day. That's how I look at it. And we just keep working the way we always do, and we'll take care of business.
Awesome. We'll end there. Thanks so much, Coach.
Thanks.